Like, no, I know it did. Good evening, everybody. We're here with Miss 86, the Miss 86, Damaris Moore. I have a question for you. You had a quote in one of your articles in the Dig that said that a lot of people look for a map when they should be looking for a compass. I'm paraphrasing, right? I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Yeah. So during my interview with the Dig, or with the Office of Communications, he was asking me, Mr. Cedric was asking me about my experiences throughout my matriculation at Howard, and how I feel like the lessons that I've learned here, education and just like otherwise, have like guided me to becoming like who I am now. Not just Miss Howard, but like who I've developed into as a woman. But that quote really came from a conversation I was having in one of my classes. That's kind of how I tied it into it, like with the education piece. I was having a conversation in my Intro to Leadership and Management Communications course. And we were talking about leadership. And throughout that conversation, it was said that, leadership is kind of like a compass rather than a map. Like, there's not necessarily one textbook way to lead people. You kind of just have to be guided based off of morals and principles, and then take it day by day, situation by situation. And I kind of view life that same way. Like, you can try to plan, like, take a turn here, take a turn there, in terms of like literally a map. But like, you'll never be lost as long as you know where north is.
Okay.
And so I kind of like
That was fire. That was hard. That was hard.
That's kind of just how I view life, because we've all heard it said that, how you make God laugh is you tell him your plans. And that's true. You have to remain adaptable. And so if you're caught up in trying to go this route or that route, or needing to take this lane or that lane, like it's easy to get lost, because life will knock you off your course. But if you always know where your north is, no matter what situation you end up in, no matter what twists and turns your life takes, you'll be able to find your way. And so that's what the inspiration behind that quote that I gave came from.
Okay. Now, you were born in North Carolina, moved to Maryland. You moved many places within Maryland. Talk about what that initial transition was like, moving to Maryland, and then kind of the story behind all those different movements that you had while in Maryland.
Well, when my parents divorced, I was like 3 or 4.
Okay.
And so I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. My parents were raised in North Carolina. And so my family is still there primarily. So, I was a young child when that transition happened. But like, my dad moved to California, me and my mom moved to Maryland. And so, I don't remember my exact feelings, like, during that transition, as I'm 21 now, but I do kind of understand like the impact it had on me, because we moved up here. My mom had a job opportunity, so we didn't have any family up here. So it's not like we came up and my mom was like, okay, like, I got this young child with me, like this person can watch her, like her auntie or her uncle can watch her, like when I'm working. Like, that's not what it was. So my mom really had to, she really worked very, very hard to not only give me a life that she wanted for me to have, but just something better that she wanted for herself. And so growing up, I always like admired and watched my mother's work ethic and independence, and her values in education and all those different types of things, because even through working, at times my mom had 2 jobs. She pursued her master's degree. So my mom has 2 master's degrees, working on her 3rd. So yeah, that's what I can remember about that transition.
Okay. Now, you went to St. Charles High School. A lot of people aren't too familiar with St. Charles High School. You know, that was one of the newer high schools within the Charles County area. What would you say that those opportunities, the opportunities that were provided to you, being in a high school that still was in a way finding its way while you were a part of that class?
I mean, to be honest, it was like I really wasn't. I've always been the kind of person where like my environment doesn't necessarily determine me.
Okay.
So yeah, the school was like younger, but it's actually interesting that you asked that question, just because I literally forgot that like, yeah, my school was like the youngest high school in the area, and so actually they had never had a Black History Month kind of celebration. I was actually a part of the first ever Black History Month celebration that my school had. So I was a dancer. I was on the dance team in high school. I also was in the choir, a cappella group. I also did cheer, and I did theater. And so I was a part of the several performances within that celebration, which was really cool. So actually, like, yeah, that's, I guess, kind of a way that it's like infancy. Like, I was a part of the history of like its infancy or whatever. Okay. I forgot about that.
Okay. And then overall, growing up going to school in Charles County, a lot of people talk about PG County. And of course, there's a lot of history, yeah, you're already making the looks. There's a lot that has came out of PG County. But what would you say people kind of overlook when it comes to Charles County?
And it's so funny because at my pageant I said I was from PG County, and it was just
I didn't even know you said that. That's crazy.
I did, but it was just because pageantry is like it has to sound good. Yeah. It's not really cute, when it comes to something that rhymes with Charles County. But I did live in PG County. I lived in Largo before I moved to Waldorf.
Okay.
But anyway, I mean Charles County, everybody likes to make jokes about how far it is and stuff, like Waldorf specifically.
Yeah, of course.
And saying like it's not the DMV or whatever. You
gotta take a flight there.
Yeah, you gotta take a flight. All this different kind of stuff. But I mean, everybody is moving out that way. Like,
yeah, that is
people
true.
from DC and PG is moving out Waldorf, so it's like it's not really it's not as rural or far as people make it out to seem. Because even Brandywine is right there. You go through Brandywine to get to Waldorf, and Brandywine is considered PG. So it's like, I think, right? Ain't Brandywine considered PG? Or I'm tripping?
I think so.
I'm tripping?
I don't know. We'll look it up later.
We'll look it up later. But yeah.
Okay. Now, where does Howard come into the picture?
Always. So I did choir all my life since elementary school. Elementary school, middle school, high school, I did choir. And then I started taking a liking to theater once I got to high school. I always loved like movies. I loved musicals and stuff like that, but I never got the chance to participate in them because my mom was working. And like I said, she was working. I didn't have family. So me participating in extracurriculars in middle school was like difficult because it was further. When I got to high school, it was walking distance. So I was able to kind of like make practices and games and stuff like that when I cheered and when I danced. So and even theater. So yeah, I mean, I knew I liked singing, I like dancing, I like acting and stuff, and so I like.
That's crazy. Excuse me.
Oh.
You're good. You're good. Unscripted. Anyway, continue.
So you're so silly. So yeah, once I got to high school, I started like getting into theater. And actually even before that, when I would go visit my dad in California, he put me into a performing arts conservatory in LA called Amazing Grace Conservatory.
Okay.
And so I went there for like a couple years, like maybe like 4 years, I'd say.
Okay.
And so it's basically a summer camp to cultivate your performance skills within acting, voice, and dance.
Okay.
And so that's also where my love for it and experience with it kind of grew.
Yeah.
Because I was also in like a hot spot for it, LA. So actually there I got the chance to be a part of I was an extra in a movie. I was a part of like a children's choir for a music video for the Black Eyed Peas. and stuff like that. So yeah, like kind of like random kind of side questy stuff that kind of introduced me into like that kind of realm. But like I said, theater, voice, acting, dance, like that was kind of like, those are my common themes. And so when it came to thinking about college, Howard was the obvious answer. I mean, we already know about all the notable alumni that came from the fine arts program. So that was my original goal, and that was my original dream, was to go to Howard and major in musical theater and graduate and be on Broadway. That was my dream. But I kind of discovered that like that was like freshman year, sophomore year, and then like in the middle of my sophomore year, I started like I've always been kind of like a crafty person, a kind of a do-it-yourself person with like an entrepreneurial kind of mindset. So my first kind of thing with that was like baking. I loved baking. I love sweets. I have like a crazy sweet tooth. And so it started with brownies. Like I started like selling brownies in high school.
Okay.
And then I'm very extra. So I would like make brownies, and then I make like a chocolate cream cheese frosting. Okay. And I would do like a brownie sandwich. And so I like made those, and like my friends would try them, and I was like, these are really good. Like let me get these off you. And so I started selling them. And so I started selling those, and I was selling those for $3 or $4, right, a piece. And so I actually remember one of my homegirls at the time, she was selling brownies too. But the difference between my brownies and her brownies was mine was a brownie sandwich, so it had the little extra thing going on. But my mom always taught me, she said, people eat with their eyes. She said, like, no matter what you do, you got to make sure your packaging is right. And so she took me to the store called Restaurant Depot, and we got like 100 pieces of packaging or whatever for the brownie stuff. And so mines were like kind of packaged, right? And so that's why I sold them for more. And so that was just kind of like my introduction into understanding like business. And so, and not even just business, but like advertising. So that's where that shift also started to happen. Like when it comes to like my goal of going to Howard was theater, but then I shifted my mind towards the end of high school when it came to thinking about what I wanted to do in the future. But my parents were like, if you're not gonna do theater, then why wouldn't you just go to another school? Like, why would you just go to another? I still remember that. That is crazy. Like me and my parents, we got into it when I told them I did not want to do theater anymore, because Howard is an expensive school. So when it comes to like anything like business related or communications, it's like you would think you could just take that anywhere that's less expensive. But I always knew Howard was for me. And so yeah, even when I made that switch from theater dreams to business goals and communication aspirations, I just knew that Howard was for me through like whatever change, because I think the mission statement like just rings true: excellence in truth and service. And I think that that was kind of my guidance when I was having difficulty trying to figure out like, okay, well, if I'm not gonna do theater, why would I stay at this school? But like it teaches, it instills, and not even instills, it forces you to be excellent, unless you don't.
Yes.
Unless you don't.
Of course. Yeah.
But you know how it is. all the people doing incredible things, it forces you into a mindset of I have to do better, I have to be better. Like it's something that I'm lacking that maybe I need to make up for, and that can be detrimental if you let it. But if you use it, it can really sharpen you. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I've continued to be reaffirmed that Howard is my place.
Okay. Now, of course, like I said at the beginning, you are Miss 86. At the beginning of your freshman year, did you ever imagine that you would be in an environment like this where you had to carry yourself a certain way, you had to smile for the cameras at all times, always, look a certain way, just presentation was everything, where sometimes it might seem very inauthentic, but it doesn't really matter because you are now representing something that is bigger than yourself.
Right. So when it comes to that brand, it's all about brand. My freshman year, I didn't even know anything about Royal Court.
Yeah.
Like during our orientation, I remember Taylor Davis did speak to like the incoming class of freshmen, because we had a semi kind of virtual thing going on when it came to like Accepted Students Day and all those different things when I was a freshman, when I was incoming. But like outside of that, like I really didn't know much about Royal Court or have any interest in pursuing it. That just kind of like came literally like so naturally. My freshman year, I joined Howard University Elite Models as a makeup artist. I started makeup artistry in high school as a senior, and then I continued it on up until like literally like last semester. Makeup artistry, yeah. Howard University Elite Models. Sophomore year, I was a part of the School of Communications Student Council, also UGSA as a graphic designer. And then junior year, I just kind of like maintained my relationships and like communication with people, and just continued to build relationships. And then towards the end of junior year, when it came to, not towards the end of junior year, towards the end of the fall semester junior year, when you have to kind of think about applying and like the whole process for doing Royal Court. I was actually persuaded by like my friends to run, just based off of who I was. It wasn't about the fact that I had like been a queen before or I had done pageants before, because neither of those things are true. I've never done Royal Court before, never done a pageant, never considered it. Like I never saw myself as a beauty queen, a pageant girl, none of that. But when it came to like representing students at Howard, I felt like that resonated with me. I've always felt like I have a true strength and gift for connecting with people and communicating with people. And so like that's a part of my brand as a person. And then when it comes to representing Howard and like having to smile when you don't feel like it, having to wave and having to constantly keep up an image, I mean, like I said, the mission really resonated with me when I was applying and throughout my matriculation. I think the title kind of reinforced it within myself. I would say that I don't think I necessarily knew what I was stepping into until I got into the role. Because when everybody looked at you a certain way, it changes how you feel about yourself, you know? Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. But like, it's like people see like such greatness in you. Because I don't think a lot of students realize what privilege it is to attend Howard University. Like, it is like such a privilege. Like, Howard University means so much to the culture. So, and I didn't really even realize that until I stepped into rooms being who I was. And other people told me that. Like, you naturally assume the brand without even having a full understanding of it when you wear the crown. And so it kind of made me carry myself different. It changed my posture. You know what I'm saying? It changed my language. It changed my actions, because it's like, it's something like to be just proud of. And it also made me realize that it's not something I had to add on to myself. Like every person on Howard's campus carries the legacy, not just of Royal Court, but of Howard University, period. Like, we should all walk with our chest puffed out and our heads high because of what it means to be a bison. I think I just kind of learned that through the role, through other people seeing that within myself. And so it became easier and easier to smile when I didn't feel like it, because it wasn't about me. It's about the legacy that I was representing.
Okay. Now, to people who have no interest in Royal Court or just don't have much knowledge in Royal Court, I'll say, even for myself, a lot of times the perspective is, or the perception is, that you guys are very much just a face, very much just not much of substance, smile, wave, this and that, but not much of you guys aren't having really much of an effect on what's going on. Would you, as someone who, again, is in those rooms, you know, who understands how powerful your voice really is to make change around Howard's campus and beyond, what would you say to people that have that perspective?
I mean, all I can do is go off of my experiences. I remember actually on the night of my coordination, after I was coordinated and I was like taking pictures with my friends and my family, there was a young woman who came up to me, and she, she hugged me, she embraced me, and she just, congratulated me on being coordinated. And she was like, I'm not sure if you remember me, but we spoke at the pinning ceremony. Me and Mr. Howard gave speeches at the pinning ceremony where we kind of welcomed the freshman class. And that was, I think, both of our first pinning ceremony because we didn't get one when we were freshmen.
Okay.
So I gave them some words. And then after that, I spoke with some freshmen. And I spoke with a young lady who approached me the night of my coordination. And I also spoke with her mom because she came from Jamaica. Like straight from Jamaica. And she, at the pinning ceremony, expressed to me her concerns and her doubts. And even her mother just expressed how excited she was for her daughter to go to Howard, but how scared she was about how it would not just change her, but how she would be able to comfortably find her community on campus, how she could comfortably just be, Caribbean students or, students that come from international backgrounds, it can be difficult to kind of come into Howard and find your people and be comfortable within that. So that is such a large concern. But she told me the night of my coordination, she was just like, what you said to me and my mom made me know that I would be okay. And that was crazy for me because it's like you can have all the events in the world. Like you can give whatever you can give. I can give people free food, or I can have a brand come and have a partnered event with them and have people walk away with mad cool stuff. But it's really about impact, and that is something that is not measured in what you can see tangibly. It's literally felt through each and every connection that you make. And so to answer your question, what I would say to people that think that Royal Court is just a face and that there is no impact, there 100% is impact. It's the old, one of the oldest sayings in the book, if you can see it, then you can be it. If you can see it, you can be it, you can believe it, you can achieve it. And so it's that is what representation is all about. And that's what Royal Court is, representation. And so for the young lady who approached me, that's what that was for her, representation. I was able to represent a young woman that has developed and become a woman through Howard. And I can reaffirm her and let her know that at times you will be lost, but this is still your place. You can find your footing. And she that resonated with her, and she told me that back. And so it's not about the events that we have. It's not about more so Hughes's branch, where they actually go through legislation and things like that. Our role is to represent what it means to be a bison, what it means to carry forward that legacy. And so representation is impact. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say.
Okay. Now, I want to, and you don't have to get too deep into this because, of course, some things will stay between. Okay. No. I'm saying what I'm about to ask you, that you don't have to get too deep into this because, again, some things are, I guess, confidential to whatever goes on behind closed doors with y'all royal people. Okay. But
sounds crazy. I want you to know that.
Huh?
That sounded crazy.
How did it sound crazy?
It just sounded crazy.
Anyway,
you're about to ask something insane.
Oh no, I wasn't about to ask anything insane.
Well, we are back.
Yeah, we are back. Wow. Damn. Okay. I guess we got to do certain things for Miss Howard. Yeah. I do want to also ask, I know that, again, being Miss Howard comes with a lot of responsibility. Have you had enough time to also think about your own personal life and what you really want to do? And how is that juggling all the responsibilities you're given while also, thinking about Damaris after college?
Yeah, so fall semester I was taking 7 classes, mm-hmm. and I had an internship where I was working minimum 23 hours a week, while also taking my senior capstone class, which requires like 8 hours every week. So like I had a lot of things occupying my time, while also obviously being Miss Howard. I will say it was extremely difficult for me to find balance. Like, actually, there was no balance. Like, there was no balance. There was overextension and there was burnout. But the problem was, like, it felt kind of good until it didn't. Okay. Like, I think we all get caught up in the ambition. We glorify ambition. Yeah. We glorify having a million things to do. And then, like, if you put yourself on that list, it's like, oh, like, you're being lazy or you're not prioritizing or whatever the case may be. I would say the most valuable lesson I learned this past semester is that, like, whatever you do not make time for, it will take time from you. So if you do not make time for your mental health, it will take time from you. If you do not take time for your wellness, it will take time from you. Simple and plain, like you physically will not be able to perform the things that you try to force yourself to do. Mm-hmm. And so like you have to be on that priority list. Like health is wealth. Seriously, mm-hmm. That's mm-hmm. so real. In every facet, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, like you have to have all those things in alignment to show up how you need to show up, at school, at your job, for other people, because it's not going to happen. Like simple and plain, like it's not going to happen. Even the Bible tells us that, like you have to take care of yourself first and foremost. So I had none of that. I had no balance. I was not on my priority list. As Damaris, as Miss Howard, I knew I had to show up in a certain way, but as Damaris, I kind of fell below because I valued the things on my checklist more than myself. Okay. I placed more of my value in like how many things I could say I got done in a day rather than like if I feel good today. So I had like my first ever panic attack, like anxiety attack, in October. And I had like actually like a physical reaction to it, like my face swelled up. And so that's when I was like, whoa, like we have to consider things, because I actually got it the night before the parade, which is at the end of homecoming. And so it was like, it took time from me because I'm trying to calm I have to show up. Like there is no, I can't go to the parade. Like I have to. Mm-hmm. And so but I didn't feel good, like, because I didn't look good. And I didn't look good because I didn't feel good, because I didn't take care of myself. And so, yeah, I learned that you have to have you as priority number one, and everything else like literally follows after that. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I want to also, and I also asked more of this same question, but again, a lot of people who don't go to HBCUs, mm-hmm. PWIs, mm-hmm. of course, they have a perception of us where it's, in a way, we are being given opportunities and like there's certain positions that are specific to just HBCU students and things like that. And they feel that in a way it's unfair mm-hmm. to them because our competitive pool is so much smaller, mm-hmm. right? Because we're not going against Ivy Leagues or this or that, whatever the case may be is. And that in a way, because of that, we might be underqualified, mm-hmm. but the companies need to reach a certain quota or whatever the case may be is. Mm-hmm. What would you say to them that they don't know about HBCU students that makes us qualified or even overqualified for certain positions?
Well, what I would say in like a realistic sense is that like diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that companies have been like, it has been like an uptrend when it comes to them focusing on that because it yields success. I mean, when you look at all of these like campaigns that happen like with these different companies, like who they're marketing toward, like it's kind of trending younger, it's trending more diverse, like because it's yielding better success for those companies. So there is value within hiring diverse employees because we just simply offer experiences that they do not have. Like you can look at statistics and you can look at numbers, but when you're like actually in the rooms, and you can have somebody in the room that can actually provide an authentic opinion based off of their authentic experience, like that is value. So that's that, and that's kind of what I would say in that sense. When it comes to our training, or like the argument of if whether or not HBCUs prepare you for the real world versus if PWIs do, I would say it absolutely does. Sorry, I have to use the bathroom. Okay. I have to tinkle. Wait, can you pause real quick? I have to tinkle.
We can pause.
My creases are like showing a lot and they're cracking. No. It's okay though.
Okay.
Just. All right.
Yeah. So.
What's up?
We are back. So, like you were saying, what is your reasoning as to why you think that HBCUs prepare you for the real world?
So you're like whispering.
Sorry, I'm just calmly speaking. I can't calmly speak.
No, yeah, I think HBCUs. I mean, in terms of being black, I think you got to develop your sense of self. My auntie told me that if you do not know who you are, the world will tell you. Simple and plain. If you don't know who you are, the world will tell you who you are. That doesn't make it true though. So you got to develop your own sense of self. I think being at an HBCU allows you to develop a very strong sense of self, so that when you do go out into this world and you do interact with white people or like other things, when you face uncomfortable work environments, or when you're faced with having to speak up for yourself and it's difficult, at least you know who you are, and at least you know that there is a community of people that like exist that look like you. I think for some people at PWIs, it's such a concentrated group of black people to where it's like you're not seeing black future black doctors, engineers, dentists, artists, like in abundance, thriving in one space. Like everywhere you look, they're there. That does something to your subconscious and to your mind. Like it places, or it removes limits off of you. I think that as black people, we put a lot of limits onto ourselves on top of what already exists. But I think that when you place yourself in an environment to see what is possible, like you don't even question it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't even go into a space thinking that like there's a ceiling that you can reach. You know what I'm saying? Like you've already seen the fact that the world is like your oyster, like it's limitless. And so after you graduate and you get into environments where people try to put the limits on you, you're like, nah, I've had 4 years of experiences that tell me I can do whatever I want to do. And like, if I can't do it with you, I know I can do it with my people who are rooting for me ultimately. So I think that like, that's the best preparation that you can get.
Okay. Now, how was it singing at the election night? I just have to know. Like,
it was so nerve-wracking, honestly. It was crazy. Like, it was just crazy for the simple fact that, like, when you really put things into perspective, Kamala Harris, it's like different things. Let me slow down a little bit. Kamala. When you think about what Kamala Harris represents, not represented, but represents for black women, it is something so just like major. Like even me singing the national anthem, even in high school, in middle school, after like the Colin Kaepernick thing and everything like that. Like I couldn't remember the last time I put my right on my left side, you know what I'm saying? Or even sang the national anthem. And so it's like I did that because I felt so much hope in our country because of Kamala Harris. And so that type of hope that she instilled in so many black women, young and old, and then her coming from a school I currently walk the halls of, is like crazy. And again, representation matters. To your question earlier, Kamala Harris, yes, like, you know, she is a politician, but it's representation that a black woman does, in fact, not even just has a chance to sit in the highest office, but she's the most qualified candidate. Like, she is the most qualified candidate. And on the flip side, due to the results, like we saw what happens with that. When black women are the most qualified candidate and still get, still do not, I don't know how to phrase this. We can still be the most qualified, but we can be overlooked, even in that same conversation, discredited, disrespected. But I think that even with all of that being seen and understood, I think even black men, even white people, like everybody who is logical, have the opportunity to see that she is the most qualified candidate, and because of bigotry, because of racism, because of lack of education, she was overlooked. And so just in terms of that moment though, on election night, it was just huge. It was bigger than big, because just thinking about even my mom, she dreamed about going to Howard University, but she couldn't go. She didn't have the mentorship or the help to get her where she needed to be for her to be accepted. And so when I think about my grandmother and her not finishing school due to her circumstances, when I think about my great-great-grandmother who actually had her master's degree in teaching in Alabama in the 60s, I just think about the women that came before me that did what they could to pass down something better for their daughter, and ultimately it led me here to not just like represent Howard University or represent myself, but like represent my family and the women that came before me in their wildest dreams, like their wildest dreams. It was crazy. So that came with fear too, because it was such a big moment. And I wasn't really prepared. They hit me up about it the day before. Okay. And I got the final okay at 11 p.m. the night before. Okay. So it was like, I just got to get this together. And, you know, the devil be working hard. So I was coming down with like a little bit of a cold. Hey, I had to get that remedy going, get that tea going, because that's not gonna work. We gotta sing for Kamala. But yeah, it was tremendous. It was like the most incredible thing I could experience, like ever. Like I can see it. Like it's something that you will always remember. I never seen my campus like that too. Like with all of the cameras and all the people, and like I never seen something so big and historical in my life that I actually was a part of. So it was just huge. It was just big. It was bigger than big. And I did the best that I could. I messed up a little bit, but I did the best that I could, and I did it. So, yeah, I don't know. It was just bigger than big. That's the only way I can describe that moment. It was just bigger than big.
Okay. Now, you're still about to graduate. You know, you got another semester left. What is next for you, and where do you see yourself a few years from now as you really start to pivot from, again, everything that you're trying to actively still achieve while at Howard and reflecting on everything you have achieved? What's next in the future?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that with a conversation that you and I had. Okay. And you said, question, how can I make myself the product? That's the question we're answering in 2025. Okay. Everything else is going to come after that. So that's open-ended. We'll have to wait and see what's next for me.
Okay. Now, I want to give you this chance to... That was really a good question. That's where it started. It was a good question. But I want to give you this chance to give your own self, your own personal message to yourself, just reflecting on everything that you've been through, as you've gotten to this point where you're at today, and the woman that you are today. Just giving yourself a chance to really look in the camera and really give your own message to yourself. You
go, girl. That's it. Literally, you go, girl. I think it's so important. I heard that in a song today. And Damaris, today is Monday, December 30th, 2024. Not 2025 yet. Actually, it's called Ambitious Girl by Wale. That's what I was listening to today. And he says, go girl, go girl, go girl. And literally, go girl. If ain't nobody telling you go girl, tell yourself, go girl. I told you, go girl. Because like I said in the last question, how can I make myself the product? That's the question we're answering in 2025. Everything else is following after that. We're going to see. Like, we don't know. Again, girl, we're following this compass, not this map. We don't know where life going to go. But always remember to grow where you are planted. Always remember to give 100% of yourself to 100% of the things that you do. And always remain true to yourself. To thine own self be true. Every day, every time, every moment, every space, and every room. And you got this. Queen. And I do want to give you your love and your credit for how you've gone about taking the position that you have with grace. Always carrying yourself, always being happy. I haven't seen a sad Damaris, I don't think, ever since I've been at Howard. And I'm sure behind closed doors, you deal with whatever adversity that you have to deal with. And just the fact that you're able to still have a smile on your face and light up the whole yard whenever you're walking on it is a credit to you, a credit to everyone that has raised you into the woman you are. So I just want to give you that love and credit. Shout out my mom and my daddy.
Exactly. Shout out to them. Yeah. that is really it. That's all we have here. You know. If you want to sing us out at all? No. Yeah, you do. Maybe. Yeah, I think.
Sing what?
Give us an 86 performance.
Just like a 30-second sing as we walk out.
I don't know what to sing.
Amazing Grace.
What? Wait, no. Weirdly enough,
Yeah.
If I can remember the words.
Whoa.
Here we go.
That is the Black national anthem. There.
Amazing Grace? No, it's not. Lift every voice and sing.
No, okay. Yes. But I like Amazing Grace too, though.
I mean, you can like it. It's just
I know that's mine. I'm not. No. I'm sorry. Yeah. No. That I just like it a lot.
Okay.
That's not what I meant. Yeah. I'm sorry to the Black community, my people. I'm sorry. That is not. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant by that.
Back to you.
At all.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that what's the word? Hold on.
Yeah, you was doing so good too.
Yeah, I was too. Hold on, I'll really sing.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Let me. Hold on. Just. I need to start a little bit lower.
If you need me to
No, I don't need you to do anything.
All right, never mind. Okay.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
That was beautiful. I think that's the way to end that.
Fun.
I don't know how it looks. I be making funny faces when I'm singing though.
Yeah, I need to learn how to sing.
Let me see it. Let me watch that.